This is my more detailed guide to how I learned how to wheelie on my CRF50. Now my CRF50 is a little different than most CRF50s. The engine is pretty much all the same, except for I installed a manual clutch from, I got it from Faster Minis. I believe Trail Bikes and BBR Motorsports, I think they have them in stock too, I think. So yeah, but if you don't have a clutch, then instead of just pulling in the clutch, you're just gonna throttle. Like, it's pretty simple. When this thing was automatic, like the clutch, it pretty much engages the same. It's just you don't have as much control, I guess you could say. But so day one, I start off with both feet on the ground in first gear in the grass, and I first start off just practicing like giving it throttle and just letting off the clutch like that, and just seeing what happens, trying to like get the feel of the wheelies. And it caught on pretty quickly, because like literally if you just give it throttle and you have a clutch, you just give it throttle and then let off the clutch, it's gonna pull. Like, make sure you're setting back on your seat though, and then you have your feet down just in case if you pull one of these and you fall off, you could just stand up and grab the bike. Works good if it's a small bike. If it's something a little bigger, it's probably gonna be way harder to do. But for these small bikes, that's pretty much how I've been learning, or that's how I did learn on day one. It's just I kept doing this, and then once I got the hang of being able to pop it up like every single time, that's when I went towards just trying to hold it up. And I started off with like just flipping it and like chasing it around. And this is all day one still. Like, we're all this you can learn in one day. So once you get the hang of flipping it up, start like trying to hold it a little bit, and you're going to be chasing it out, so it's not going to want to really stay. So you're going to want to try to go further back, and you're going to probably fall off a few times, but that's just part of learning like the where it balances at. Now, because your feet is off, the balance point is going to be a little lower than if you had both your feet on, because you're putting more weight back by having your feet off like that. So literally my first day, I just kept practicing being able to do this till I got like proficient enough to do circles with it. And you're gonna fall off sometimes, that's all part of the learning process. So literally day one, and honestly like day 1 and 2 you could probably combine together. I just spent my whole time doing this day 1. So day 2, I originally was going to practice first gear 1 foot down, right? First gear 1 foot down, pop up, and the issue I ran into was I was just circling, okay? So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go straight to doing both feet up. And the problem I ran into with that was both feet up, we have to be going. I pull the clutch in and I throttle, and the bike just does not have first gear. Like, you don't have as much RPMs to really work with. Like, you're just really going to chase them in first gear, because first gear is better for if you're not moving. So I tried to practice a few of these, but I just felt like it was going to chase way too hard. And then I read something online, someone saying that first gear is hard to wheelie in, second gear is where you learn everything, and third gear on these things go forever. So I was like, that's it, I'm just going to start going into second gear. So I decided to start learning second gear, going about this speed, and it's going to be the same thing, just pulling in the clutch, giving it some throttle. But there's one extra step that's being added here, which is the most important step, and that is tapping the rear brake down here. So every time you pop it up, you're going to tap the rear brake to build a muscle habit to bring it back down. So here's how I started. I started with popping her up and then tapping the rear brake, okay? And we're not even getting that much height at first, okay? We're still experimenting with the clutch control and how much throttle to give. So I'm going a little higher, and I'm tapping the rear brake to bring her down. And if you can, while you're doing this, try to get into the habit too, when you're setting it down, to give it some throttle as you're coming down. So like, wheelie up, tap the rear brake, and then throttle. So we're going. I wheelie up, I tap the rear brake, and I give it a little bit of throttle as I'm coming down. That way you don't slam down as hard. You don't want to stomp the rear brake either, you just want to tap it. If you stomp it, you're just going to slam down. So Once you get pretty comfortable with the rear brake, you're gonna slowly try to get it where you're gonna be going higher and higher up, okay? Right now your wheelies are only up for like a second or two, like, and you're going back down, okay? And you're gonna keep working till you can get that balance point figured out, okay? So you're gonna start holding them, right? You're gonna start holding the throttle now instead of just letting off right away. So you're holding it and then tapping the rear brake whenever you feel like you're going too far back. So you're gonna start, your wheelies are gonna start getting further at this point, right? Like, we're getting further now. But you're gonna run into another issue, okay? This issue is gonna be your left and right balance. Your left and right balance, you're gonna feel super wobbly. At least that's from my experience. I was falling left and right. Like, I literally fell going this way. I fell right and went into a ditch. So to counter that, you're gonna use your knees. I found using my knees to like balance myself out. Whatever felt natural, just moved my knees to, and it helped. So let me see if I can give an example. Like, so that way I was moving my knees a little bit there, but not like a whole bunch. You don't want to be like too aggressive with it though. You want to kind of just try to be smooth with it. If you're super aggressive, you're just gonna move yourself more. See how like I had this knee out because the bike was going that way and I was trying to like hang the corner. So like I was putting the knee out, was helping it like stay the way it needed to go. So, and also ideally, in order to control, I was on my brake when I did that one. In order to control like your left and right, you need to be higher up. So you want to try to keep your wheelies at balance point if possible. So that's where your rear brake comes in. And then mainly with your wheelies, you want to try to be like, when you're popping them up, you want to try to either maintain your throttle at first. So you want to learn to like be able to hold your balance point and maintain that throttle, and then tap the rear brake when you go too far back. So let's see if I can give an example. I just let off there. So if you let off, then you kind of lose a lot of the power you had keeping it up. So when you let off and you get back on the throttle, you lose that power and you're just gaining speed and not as much height. So you just end up like, when you're flipping like this, you kind of just end up chasing it out more and more. See how I'm kind of trying to maintain as much of the throttle as I can, and then I'm also like, I'm easing off the throttle a little bit and then tapping the rear brake to try to like coast it a little bit to lose some speed if possible. Like when you let off the throttle like that and then you flip it, you kind of lose a lot of your momentum. That's why it's better at first to try to just hold a steady throttle, and when you get good enough, you can get to the point where you can just completely let off the throttle and like float your wheelies, or coasters is what they call it, is coasting it. Obviously, like, I'm still learning. This is a guy from a beginner to a beginner, pretty much, in my eyes, because I don't know, I've talked to someone who's super experienced with wheelies before, and he said it's kind of hard to explain to someone who's brand new to wheelies on how to wheelie when you're super experienced, because it's just so natural to people that good at that point, which is where I'm hoping to get to one day. No, let's do a different ending. Well, if you made it this far, good luck in your stunt journey, and peace.